Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into Brawl Tower Defense and breaking down exactly which brawlers you should save your gems for. That's right, instead of throwing your gems at random banners and praying for good luck, I've got the ultimate unit tier list to help you out. We're talking meta-defining brawlers, the ones that turn tough rounds into easy wins. So whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned player, stick around. This list is going to save your bacon. Now, I know rolling can be super tempting, especially when a flashy banner pops up, but trust me, patience pays off. When you see the banners featuring these top tier units, that's when you go all in. And if you've been hoarding your pity, these are the brawlers you absolutely need to grab. From hard carries to game-changing support units, we've got the cream of the crop coming up. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's make those gems count. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking units in Brawl Tower Defense. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Mortis, El Primo, and Shelly. Alright, let's get real for a second. Not every unit in Brawl Tower Defense is a winner. Some are just there, existing to fill up your roster until you find something better. And yes, we're diving into the bottom of the barrel, the D tier units. Spoiler alert, these are the ones you really don't want to see on your banners. Let's break it down, shall we? First up, we've got a Mortis. Now, I don't know who decided this guy deserved to be an epic, but they must have had their coffee swapped with decaf that morning. Sure, he's got decent range, but what good is range if everything else about him screams meh? His damage is pitiful, his abilities don't impress, and honestly, if you see him in a banner, just close the game and go touch some grass until the refresh. Trust me, you're not missing anything. Then there's El Primo and Shelly, the dynamic duo of early game despair. Both of these rare units are fine for your first hour or two because, let's be honest, you don't have much choice, but they fall off faster than a poorly placed tower against the boss wave. El Primo is your run-of-the-mill DPS unit, while Shelly tries to do the same thing but somehow manages to underwhelm even more. They're like that one friend who insists they're good at karaoke but can't hit a single note. Do yourself a favor, roll for literally anything else when you can. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Jackie and Colt. You know that moment when you're cruising through the early game, thinking you've got everything under control, and then, bam, the difficulty spikes? Well, let me introduce you to Jackie. This rare unit is your go-to AoE powerhouse when you're starting out in Brawl Tower Defense. She's like the unsung hero of the beginner squad, clearing waves like a champ while you're still figuring out your strategy. Sure, she's no mythic or legendary, but for the early game, Jackie punches well above her weight. She'll carry you until you start unlocking those higher tier units, and honestly, you might even feel a little bad benching her later on. And then there's Colt, another rare who's seriously underrated. If Jackie's the AoE queen, Colt is the all-around MVP. His damage and utility make him one of the best rares in the game, hands down. He's like that reliable friend who's always there when you need him, until of course you roll a mythic or legendary and, well, sorry Colt. But hey, until then, this guy is a solid choice for any lineup. Trust me, these two rares will be your best buddies in the early game grind, making that path to the epics and beyond way smoother. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Adgar, Kit, Grand Mike, and Gale Iceman. Alright, here's a hot take to stir things up. B tier in Brawl Tower Defense is where the real strategists shine. It's not just about who's the flashiest or has the highest stats, it's about finding those hidden gems that can pull their weight and surprise you in a pinch. Let's dive into the B tier crew and see what makes them tick. First up, we've got Adgar. This guy's got an interesting spot in the B tier because he's competing with other powerhouse epics like Kit and Dynamite. Honestly though, Adgar Asetats edges them out as the best starter unit. Why? His balanced stats and the versatility make him an absolute lifesaver early on. He's the kind of unit that says, "Don't worry, I got this," and actually means it. You can't put a price on that kind of reliability when you're building your squad. Speaking of competition, let's talk about Kit. Now, Kit was the epic to have until Adgar came along and stole the spotlight. Even so, Kit still holds up as an incredible unit, especially when you compare him to higher tier characters like Sandy. His stats are rock solid and his performance is consistent across the board. If you're still on Team Kit, I totally get it. Sometimes you just vibe with a unit that fits your style. Now for some explosive fun, Grand Mike. This guy brings some of the best AoE damage in the entire epic rarity. If you're dealing with swarms of enemies and need a quick cleanup, Grand Mike's your go-to. He's the kind of unit that leaves a satisfying trail of destruction behind him, and let's be real, who doesn't love that? Just don't rely on him too much for single target damage. He's a specialist, not a jack of all trades. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Spike, Amber, Sandy, and Frank. Alright, let's dive into some serious tower defense action with the A tier units in Brawl Tower Defense. These units are the unsung heroes of your lineup, super close to S tier, but not quite hitting that godly status. Don't sleep on them though, they'll carry you through those tough rounds when S tier isn't an option. Let's break them down and see who's worth the hype. First up, Spike, the mythic with some serious area of effect firepower. His range is insane, like, you'll see enemies disappearing before they even get close. The only catch? His speed is meh. If he were a bit faster, we'd be talking S tier territory, no question. Still, he's the perfect pick if you need someone to thin out waves of enemies while your faster units clean up the leftovers. Then there's Amber, another mythic, and let me tell you, she's an absolute monster when it comes to dishing out damage. Those fast attacks? Chef's kiss. Amber has single-handedly saved me in so many insane levels that I've lost count. I'm still testing her out though. She's got S tier potential, but I need a few more wins with her to call it. For now, she's A tier, but keep an eye on her. Now let's talk about Sandy, the legendary who's, well, solid but not spectacular. Don't get me wrong, she's good, and those legendary stats give her a boost, but compared to some epics like Frank, she's not blowing anyone's mind. Speaking of Frank, this epic is punching way above his weight class right now. He's got those sweet Robux buffs that make him slap harder than most legendaries. Honestly, if you've got the coins, he's worth it. So there you have it. These A tier units aren't perfect, but they're absolute lifesavers if you're grinding insane or just waiting to snag an S tier unit. Got any favorites? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next breakdown. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Griff, Kenji, Leon, and Nita. Alright, let's talk about the heavy hitters in Brawl Tower Defense, the creme de la creme of units that can turn your runs from meh to magnificent. These S tier legends aren't just strong, they're game changers, and if you don't have at least one of them in your lineup, you're seriously missing out. Let's break it down because these units don't just play the game, they run it. First up, Griff. The farming king, the moneymaker, the absolute backbone of any solid loadout. He's the only farming unit in the game right now, and trust me, that alone puts him in a league of his own. Every single level becomes a breeze with Griff, and that's why he's sitting comfortably at the top of the list. Pair him with any damage dealer, and you're golden. Without Griff, you're leaving so much potential on the table. Then we've got the elusive Kenji. This secret tier unit is like finding a needle in a haystack with his absurdly low drop rate of less than 0.1%. But if the RNG gods smile upon you and you land him, oh boy, your life is about to change. Slap a high tier trait on Kenji and he doesn't just fit into your loadout, he is the loadout. His stats are unmatched, making him an absolute monster in any scenario. Rounding out the list are Leon and Nita, two powerhouses that could honestly trade spots depending on your playstyle. Leon edges Nita out ever so slightly with better raw stats, but don't sleep on Nita. She's still a meta-defining unit and a perfect partner to Griff for tackling those higher difficulties. Both are incredible, and if you're lucky enough to have them, you've got a serious advantage in the game. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.